Stand by. Oh, what's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. I subscribe to a newsletter for theweek.com, and there's always some good information there. Gives you little tidbits, and then after you've heard the little tidbits that I've given you, you can dig in a little deeper. Theweek.com. Number one, Putin blames the West for Ukraine war as Biden makes surprise visit to Kiev. Russian President Vladimir Putin used his State of the Nation address on Tuesday to criticize the West and justify his war in Ukraine, which remains at a stalemate ahead of the anniversary of Russia's invasion on Friday. Quote, "It's they who have started the war, and we are using force to end it," end quote, Putin said in the speech. He also said Russia is suspending participation in the last nuclear non-proliferation treaty with the United States. New START, S-T-A-R-T. President Biden upstaged Putin on Monday by making a risky, unannounced visit to Kiev, where he met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and promised the U.S. would support Ukraine, quote, "as long as it takes," end quote, to repel Russian forces. This is according to the Associated Press and Bloomberg. Number two, Turkey, Syria rattled by strong aftershock that kills at least 3. A strong 6.3 magnitude earthquake shook southern Turkey and northern Syria on Monday. The aftershock triggered panic in areas devastated by 2 more powerful quakes 2 weeks ago, sending people running out of buildings into the streets in several cities. The White Helmets, a civil defense force in northern Syria, said via Twitter that civilians had been hurt by, quote, "falling debris, stampedes, and jumping from high areas," end quote. The Monday quake killed at least 3 people and injured 213 in Turkey's Hatay province. Turkey's interior minister said in a news conference. The February 6th tremblors, which registered 7.8 and 7.5 on the Richter scale, killed more than 43,000 people. This is according to the Washington Post and the New York Times. Number 3, Ron DeSantis raises national profile with New York visit. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican, visited New York City on Monday at the start of a trip aiming to spotlight crime in Democrat-led cities as he seeks to raise his profile ahead of a possible campaign for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. DeSantis, speaking at a restaurant in the GOP stronghold of Staten Island, criticized public safety strategies in New York and other major cities. Quote, "Those woke approaches to crime and law and order and being anti-police, those policies have failed," end quote, DeSantis said in a live interview on Fox News. Quote, "Florida's policies have succeeded," end quote. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, a former police captain, said DeSantis might find the city different from the Sunshine State because it doesn't ban books or discriminate against gay people. This is according to the New York Times. Number 4, Project Veritas forces out founder James O'Keefe. Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe announced Monday that the right-wing group had removed him as its leader. The news came after the board placed O'Keefe on leave as it looked into complaints about his treatment of staff members. Quote, "So currently, I have no job at Project Veritas," end quote. A tearful O'Keefe said in a video that was posted online, but he said was for the group staff. Quote, "I have no position here based upon what the board has done," end quote. Project Veritas bills itself as a news organization. It is primarily known for heavily edited hidden camera videos targeting mainstream news organizations, labor groups, and Democratic politicians. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 5, fifth person confirmed to be cured of HIV. Researchers announced Monday that a 53-year-old man in Germany has become the fifth person in history to be cured of HIV, which can lead to AIDS if untreated. The patient, known as, quote, the Dusseldorf patient, end quote, received a stem cell transplant 10 years ago and has not taken HIV medication in 4 years, ABC News reported. The Dusseldorf patient is the third person to be cured of the virus through a stem cell transplant. Quote, "It's really cure and not just, long-term remission," end quote, said Dr. Bjorn Erik Ole Jensen, who published the findings in the case in Nature Medicine. Quote, "This obviously positive symbol makes hope, but there's a lot of work to do," end quote. The first reported cure was in 2009. This is according to ABC News. Number 6, Rushdie. Other critics slam censorship of Roald Dahl books. Critics, including Booker Prize-winning novelist Salman Rushdie, are speaking out against the British publisher of a Roald Dahl classic children's book for removing language deemed unacceptable to modern readers from new editions. Puffin Books, a division of Penguin Random House, has edited some of the late author's wording in his classic children's books. In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for example, the gluttonous Augustus Gloop, one of Charlie's rivals, is now described as, quote, enormous, end quote, instead of, quote, enormously fat, end quote. Rushdie said the changes amount to, quote, absurd censorship, end quote. Dahl died in 1990 at the age of 76. This is according to CNN and the Associated Press. Number 7, suspect arrested in killing of L.A. bishop. Los Angeles County authorities on Monday arrested a suspect in the killing of Auxiliary Bishop David O'Connell, who was found dead in his bed of a single gunshot wound on Saturday. There were no signs of forced entry in the Catholic Archdiocese-owned home where O'Connell, 69, lived. L.A. County Sheriff Robert Luna identified the suspect as Carlos Medina, the husband of O'Connell's housekeeper. Surveillance video showed what appeared to be Medina's SUV in the driveway at the time of the killing. A tipster told investigators that Medina, 65, who had done work for O'Connell, had been acting strangely since the killing and saying the bishop owed him money, Luna said. This is according to the Los Angeles Times. Number 8, tourist killed by shark in New Caledonia. A 59-year-old Australian tourist died over the weekend after being attacked by a shark while swimming off a beach in New Caledonia, a French territory east of Australia and north of New Zealand. The man was swimming near a pontoon off a Chateau Royal beach in the capital, Noumea, when the shark bit him. 2 people on a jet ski rescued him and took him to the shore. People performed CPR on him, but he died of his injuries. Authorities closed the area to swimming and boating, quote, until further notice, end quote. Noumea City Council said in a statement. The attack was the second off the beach in less than a month. A 49-year-old woman was injured by a bull shark in late January. This is according to CNN. Number 9, Ohio opens clinic, plans to sue Norfolk Southern over toxic chemical release. The Ohio Health Department on Tuesday is opening a clinic to address health concerns in East Palestine following the derailment of a Norfolk Southern train that led the company to release and burn toxic chemicals on board to prevent an explosion. The Office of Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost has sent a notice of intent to sue addressed to Alan Shaw, the president and CEO of Norfolk Southern. Yost said in a letter dated February 15th that the rail company released pollution that, quote, continues to contaminate the area around East Palestine, created a nuisance, damage to natural resources, and caused environmental harm. Local residents and Ohio's waters have been damaged as a result, end quote. The company also faces multiple class action suits from residents. This is according to NBC News. Number 10, prosecutors downgrade charges against Alec Baldwin over Rust shooting. Prosecutors on Monday downgraded charges against actor Alec Baldwin over the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the New Mexico set of Rust, a low-budget Western film. Attorneys for Baldwin and the movie's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, had argued that their clients never should have faced a, quote, firearms enhancement, end quote, because the state legislature didn't pass the enhancement law until after the October 2021 shooting. The change reduces the possible prison sentence from a mandatory 5-year minimum to a maximum of 18 months for involuntary manslaughter. Baldwin, who shot and killed Hutchins while rehearsing a scene, has said he was not responsible for the accident because he had been told his gun was, quote, cold, end quote, meaning it was loaded with blanks. This is according to Reuters and the New York Times. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, make sure you check out theweek.com for more information. These are just the headlines with a little brief description of what the headlines mean. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJ